the door and shouting expletives to the people on the other side. Meanwhile, a judge ordered the free agent cornerback to be released from jail without bail yesterday following his arrest for the incident, citing Sherman as, quote, a pillar of the community and noting it was his first arrest. Sherman's next hearing is set for later this afternoon. So, Shannon, you're reacting to this video. What is your reaction to all of this?
Well, for me, Skip, I didn't need to see the video because the police report said he tried to break down the door. So I know what trying to break down the door looks like. So I didn't need to see the video. See, Skip, it's kind of like, you know, when I read the paper or I hear someone says, well, the person was decapitated, I don't actually need to see the photo of a headless corpse to know what decapitation means. So I didn't really need to see the ring video, the camera, to show me that Richard Sherman was trying to break in because I know what that looks like. But Skip, as I said before, Richard Sherman has been a pillar, a stalwart in the Seattle community. The football aside, the way he's been a great businessman, the way he's been so active in the community, sometimes you need your reputation to precede you in a good manner. And in this situation, Skip, you're going before a man or a woman that knows something about you, but the reason you're coming before them today has nothing to do with the reason why they know about you. So you're hoping that your good standing, your great name, it precedes you. And that's what the judge said. This man has been a pillar in this community. He's been a great businessman. He's been great in the community. Yes, we know he's an outstanding football player. And he says, release this man. He did set some rules and some regulations that he believes Richard Sherman will adhere to. And so do I. He has to stay away from the father-in-law. Okay, fine, that's no problem. But I love the way his wife came to his defense and says, we love Richard. He's been a great father. He's been a great husband. And we're going to get through this. John Lynch, who was his former boss, general manager of the San Francisco 49ers, says we reached out to them and offered resources because we're praying for him, because this is a good man, this is a good family. And whatever assistance that we can offer, we've asked them to reach out to us. So, Skip, this is about as good an ending or a beginning, well, this is the middle part, this is not the ending, as we could hope for. Hopefully, Richard gets the help because it seems like he was intoxicated, seems like he was very agitated, and they said before he was going through some things. And like I said before, hopefully Richard gets the help that he needs, and the road to recovery is right around the corner. I'm not concerned about Richard Sherman, the football player. Right now, my concern is Richard Sherman, the man. Richard Sherman, the husband. Richard Sherman, the father. Get those three things in order, and the football would take care of itself. Even if he never plays another down in football, Richard Sherman's place is secure in NFL history. So I'm glad this is about as best that you could hope for. He didn't have to post bond. They released him on his own recognizance, and they said, Richard, we expect you to adhere to the rules and regulations that we placed before you. He assured him that he would, and I'm glad this is the way it's turned out, and so hopefully Richard can get the help that he needs, and we can move forward.
I hear what you just said. I will echo that I'm glad it turned out for the better, a situation that the other night at that door could have gone so wrong, and I'll discuss that more in just a second. But clearly, Richard was fortunate that the judge knew his reputation in Seattle. Maybe the judge was a fan of his or a fan of the Seahawks. And I believe the judge dealt with him fairly and in the correct manner. And it was interesting to me, the prosecutors did not even pursue the more serious charge, which was the felony burglary domestic violence charge that was possible for the judge to at least to entertain at that point. And that's the one that came from what you see in the video of him trying to knock the door down. That's called burglary domestic violence. Domestic violence because the wife and their kids were inside with the father-in-law who was ready to protect them at all costs. But the point was, now there are 4 potential charges, and they're misdemeanor or gross misdemeanor charges, not nearly as serious as that felony burglary domestic violence.
Correct.
And fortunately, nobody was hurt, except Richard did have to get a few stitches at the hospital because it finally took the canine, the police canine, to subdue him as he did resist arrest. Is all well that ends well? Well, again, it had started long before this because, as we talked about yesterday, the Seattle Times had reported that back in February, that King County prosecutors up in the Seattle area and the Sheriff's Department had obtained an extreme risk protection order for Richard Sherman, which barred him from having guns after a judge determined he posed a danger to himself or to others. His wife has acknowledged publicly he has been suicidal, and he has undergone some counseling prior to this situation that escalated the other night. Obviously, he's driving over to get his, he wanted to go get his kids, and they were at the father-in-law's home with the wife and her sister. And he drove into a construction site and completely, ultimately totaled his black Mercedes, and then he winds up at the door, and we saw the video. So allow me quickly to comment on just how dangerous that situation was. You've got the wife and the sister on the phone, 911, for a half hour while he's trying to knock the door down. He had the code to the door, but they had the latch on the inside, and he couldn't break all the way through. But he did get it open to a point, and while they are screaming on the phone for please hurry to get here and try to stop this, the father-in-law bear maces Richard through the slightly open door, you know, bear mace, and it's vicious stuff, and he got him. And the father-in-law said he had also armed himself with his handgun and was ready to use it.
Yeah, see, that's how it could have went terribly. It could have gone terribly, could have went terribly wrong.
Hey, Shannon, you know better than I, the pride at stake between the father of the wife and Richard. You've experienced, I know I've experienced those situations where the father-in-law is protecting his grandchildren while Richard wants his children back. But Richard is clearly intoxicated, not in his right mind, and is nearly unhinged. Well, thankfully that didn't go. Thankfully he didn't completely open the door, because I don't know what would have happened at that point.
The father showed tremendous restraint. Because from the time that he brought the little girl into the world, which is his daughter, his responsibility is to be her protector. Not just until she gets 18 and she's an adult. He's her protector forever. So for him to show that kind of restraint, and I get it, like I said, Richard was intoxicated. He's agitated. The only thing he's thinking, you're keeping me from my kids. Clearly, he's not in his right mind. And the father-in-law basically said, because you're not in the right place that you need to be, I'm trying to protect you. And I'm so glad that he wasn't able to get through. I'm so glad that the father showed tremendous restraint, because I know a lot of father-in-laws that wouldn't have showed the kind of restraint that he showed, especially once you start kicking it, hey, stop kicking the door, bro. And they say, Richard, go home, sleep this one off. We've called the police. I'm sure they probably told him, the father-in-law probably told him, Rich, we've called the police.
They're on the way.
Go home. They're right. And so kudos to the father-in-law that you showed the amount of restraint that a lot of people would not have shown in that situation. And also to the daughter, because she's like, you know what? I've known this man for such a long time, and what I've seen over the last couple of months is so far from what I know him to be. I know something is going on, and I don't want, and you know, Skip, you get married, it's for riches and poor, in sickness and in health, not just in great times, but when things go bad, when things are going wrong, you need to stand beside that person. It would have been easier for her to walk away. Maybe Richard Sherman's not going to be a professional football player. So you know what? Hey, you're not in the NFL. I'm going to walk away. She said, nah. When I took those vows and I stood next to you, I said for richer or for poor, for sickness and in health, for better or for worse. Okay, we're at the worst part right now, but I'm not going anywhere. We're going to ride this out together for our family. And I'm so glad. So many times people take the easy way out, but that's not what she did. Congratulations to the father-in-law for showing the amount of strength that he took not to do something that temporarily would have caused a lifetime of possible regret. So this is a we got a great ending. We got as good an ending, Skip, as we could have gotten in a situation like this.
And you discussed and addressed this yesterday, but given all the tragic incidents we've had in the past year, 2 years,